Students at the University of Manchester have ripped down the fencing which was installed around their campus on the first day of the 4-week lockdown.
Well, hundreds of students staged a protest last night saying they felt imprisoned. The university have now apologised and say they'll remove any remaining fences later today. We're now joined by 3 students who took part in the protest: Molly Harcourt, Amy Charlton and Izzy Smitherman. Smitherman or Smitherman? Or Smytheman? Izzy, what are you?
Is good.
Anything is good.
Listen, good morning to you all. So I was alerted to this by one of my sons who's at university, because it went around about every campus in the country like wildfire, saying this is an outrage, do something about it. Well, we didn't have to, because you students decided you were going to do something about it. So tell us what happened. Let's start with you, Izzy. When did you find out these fences were going up?
So I found out in the morning. I was walking across campus and I saw all these fences, and obviously my first reaction was, I didn't really understand why they were there. I wasn't sure if they were locking us in. And then on social media I saw that these fences were across the entire campus, and that many of them were surrounding buildings completely, with only like small gates to open to let students out.
So Izzy, just establish for us, when you say they're around the whole campus, how is Manchester University set out? Is it individual halls or is it a campus university? I mean, how many places have got these fences?
So as far as I'm aware, it's only in Fallowfield. So it's one of the 3 sort of campuses where student halls are. And I think there's 5 or 6 student halls there.
And one of the reasons given by the university was because Professor Dame Nancy Rothwell, who's the President and Vice-Chancellor, has now apologised, but said that, in fact, it was safety and security, particularly about access by people who aren't residents. Is this something that your colleagues as students have called for? I mean, was there an issue at Fallowfields where people who were unwelcome were coming onto site?
Yeah, I think that was an issue, and we had called for more security. There had been, unwelcome people coming in the evenings. But I, again, struggle to see how the fences would really help that. People were still able to get onto campus. Yeah.
OK, Amy and Molly, well, first of all, well done, all of you, for getting out of bed this early. I know it's very unusual for students to do this, so...
Maybe they haven't been to bed.
We appreciate the massive sacrifice you're all making. But, Amy Charlton, once you saw these fences go up, what did it make you feel like? Me, I was watching this thinking, this is ridiculous. It's caging you in like animals.
Yeah, like the anxiety it gives you. I mean, people even who don't have anxiety are going to feel uptight and on edge about this. Like, you feel like encaged.
Yeah, and Molly, it's tough enough, isn't it, for students right now? Universities are supposed to be the best time of your life, where it's party central with a bit of work mixed in, you have a great time, you're socialising all the time. None of that really is going on in the way it should be. You're not doing many lectures, you're sort of trapped in your 4 walls a lot of the time. This must have been like another blow to you all, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's really difficult for us to deal with moving away from home, not having our normal friends and family to see, having to meet new people, and then with the university not being clear with us or communicating that well why they're implementing what they did. It's just a hard time to figure out what to do, what's the best thing to do.
Amy, sorry, Molly, but Amy, the university, as we've just discussed with Izzy, had said that this was partly about not letting people on site. But I can imagine, for both actually you, Amy, and you, Molly, when you see fences going up, I would imagine you'd be thinking they want to keep us in. This is the first day of the English lockdown. There may be many of your friends who are thinking, you know what, I want to go home because I don't want to be here for lockdown. But it looked like the fences were there to stop you leaving as opposed to stopping people coming on site.
Yeah, it's a really strange thing to wake up with fences being put up around your house. And then we hadn't had an email by that point as to why. So it was just confusion, which obviously causes a lot of then anger. And I just think it could have been dealt with in a much more efficient way or much more clear way.
And let's go back to Izzy. What are students doing? Because they're supposed to all stay at university. But if you're given a choice of, you know, a month trapped in your room, particularly if you've got cages everywhere, I would imagine a lot of students are probably trying to get out of there and head home, are they? I mean, what's the mood like? What's the atmosphere like? What do you feel about these rules?
Yeah, I think like there are obviously a lot of students who are wishing to go home, but as of now, the university hasn't allowed students to, like if they wanted to go home and come back when teaching was face to face, they haven't allowed students to break their rent contracts in that way and then come back later. So that would mean essentially paying for an empty room. So although I think there are a decent amount of students who are, you know, wishing to go home and continue their online learning from home, there's also a lot of people who feel very trapped here.
Yeah, and it's very difficult, I think, for mental health of young people to keep... We had this on-running saga of these 3 guys trapped in Italy who couldn't get back because they couldn't get a negative test for COVID. And it went on for weeks and weeks, and you can see each week the debilitating effect it was having on them. Just finally, Izzy and Amy and Molly, what do you feel about COVID-19? What do you feel about the restrictions on your lives? And what do you feel about the way the government's handling it?
I feel that the government hasn't handled it well at all in terms of like putting our mental health first. I think mental health is just as big a pandemic, if not worse, than COVID. And it's just being brushed to one side, and the suicide rate has been higher than deaths, and it hasn't been addressed at all. We just want a bit more empathy and understanding when they're making the decisions, taking our feelings into account a bit more, rather than doing what's best for the economy.
Yeah.
There's a belief by people that you young people don't care about the virus, don't care about the pandemic, don't care that it's different age groups that seem to be worse targeted. Is that true, or do you care?
I think, yeah, it is naturally we are worried as a generation, but
our year's always been affected.
Yeah.
Massive things have affected our our year group with the A levels, and then now
I think we have been targeted, but we haven't really been given guidelines of like any help, or you know, it hasn't really been clear what we can and can't do. So as a generation, we're going to obviously revolt in a way, because if we're being targeted as well.
Well, there was a moment last night when out came the Manchester students, and you thought, we're not having this, we're not being caged like animals. Let's take a look at what happened.
We're being stuck in these halls. So just first of all, health and safety wise, if we could try and social distance a little bit, and if we can all wear our masks, we don't want them to blame us for spreading COVID again. We've done a risk assessment, and we have a legal observer, Adam, here in the orange.
You know, I thought that was very good, you know, very quickly saying, look, socially distance.
Put your mask on.
We don't want to be looking like we're being irresponsible, but actually holding the authorities at Manchester University to account for putting up these fences. It was outrageous what they did. Well done to all of you for resisting it. And, you know, we've got a lot of sympathy for students. It's a tough time. I had a great time when I was at college, and I can't even imagine what it must be like trying to have a good university life in these circumstances.
Well,
so
the thing is, it's not...
Keep battling.
Yeah, it's not helpful, is it, to compare times that we had with the times that our children... I mean, literally, our children are at university as well. But so you've got to make the best of it. But I think that putting fences up without explaining that they're for your security...
Ridiculous.
...and giving the impression that they're to stop you going home is probably not the right thing to do, Manchester University.
Ridiculous. So, Izzy, Amy, Molly, thank you. You can go back to bed now.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And, Izzy, Amy and Molly, thanks very much indeed. I hope you're getting lots of support from friends and family.
Yeah.
We're all here for you.
Tough time for these students.
Yeah.